And everyone, welcome to the DOB Now Build Zoning Challenges and Appeals training. So as you already heard, some of the points here I will make again. You can ask questions through the Q&A link on the side of your screen, and we do have some DOB experts to answer them. We should also have time at the end for you to ask questions. Your microphones will remain muted. The last point I wanted to make is that you will be receiving a survey asking you about this training. Please do fill it out. We want to make sure that our trainings are as useful as possible to our customers, so that that's why we ask the questions. So let's get started. Today we're going to talk about zoning challenges and appeals and how they're going to work for biz jobs and how they're going to work for DOB Now jobs. We'll talk about zoning documents within the DOB Now job filing, and then we'll talk about what happens if a challenge or an appeal is approved and an audit response is required. And then, as we said, we'll have time for questions and answers at the end. So we're going to start by talking about what the process is for zoning challenges and zoning appeals for biz job filings. Users are going to continue to use the zoning challenge and appeal form for zoning challenges and zoning appeals for biz jobs, and they're going to email it based on the directions on the building's website. This is the process that currently happens, and it is not changing for any jobs that are filed through biz. The challenge and appeal form will then go through the standard DOB review process. Now, as of November 7th, we introduced this new system where users can file zoning challenges and zoning appeals for DOB Now jobs using the Building on My Block link on the DOB Now public portal. So let's talk about what the process is now for DOB Now job filings. So you may have already seen, in addition to the new zoning challenge and appeal process, there's also a new landing page for the DOB Now public portal. You will have access to, you do have access to all of the features and tools that you had access to prior, but it's a little bit of a nicer layout, I think. So in order to submit a zoning challenges, users need to start by finding the relevant job filing that they're going to be challenging using Building on My Block. Building on My Block is one of the links on this new landing page. Users can search by address, BIN, community board, or job number. And then there are some additional filters that allow you to narrow your search results to your specific needs. You can select what kind of jobs you're looking for, whether they're open to challenge, whether they're open to appeal, so on and so forth. And you can also select the job filing type: alterations, new buildings, alterations that affect the certificate of occupancy, all the options here. Zoning challenges will only be submitted through Building on My Block for DOB Now job filings that have a ZD1 approved on or after September 20th, 2022. Now, the ZD1, as you may know, is the zoning document that is submitted with job filings that require a zoning document. And give me just a moment and I will reconnect. I just got kicked out of the VPN. That will just take me a moment. And start sharing again. I apologize for that brief delay. Sometimes our computers do interesting things, don't they? So when you go into the public portal and you search for by any of these means that we talked about, you will see job filings that are associated to the information entered. And in the zoning status column, you will see if a job is open to challenge. And then there's this little down arrow next to it. If you click on it, you'll be able to see the details of the job filing. And here's what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to run through this in the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to switch over to the system so you can see what it looks like. And I can show you it with a live interactive option. So up in the corner, when you open it up, it'll tell you if there are days remaining to challenge, and you'll be able to click on the plus challenge button. That's how you initiate a challenge. You'll notice that there are 5 tabs here: job details, challenge, challenge results, appeals, and appeal results. So when you click the plus challenge button, you will get this challenge request form. There's 3 sections in here, but only one of them is really required to be entered for the challenge, and that is the description of challenge. Now, we highly recommend that users also enter their information in the challenger information. The main reason that we ask for this is if you enter a valid email address, you're going to receive an email notification when there is a response published by DOB. There's also the supporting documents section where challengers can enter any supporting documents they have as to the validity of their challenge. Now, once a challenge is entered, you're not actually going to be able to see it just yet in the system on the challenge tab. The challenges submitted will be displayed to the public only after the challenge period ends and a decision has been made by DOB. And in addition to seeing all the challenges, a single response to all challenges will also be visible under the challenge results tab. Now, there will be a single response no matter how many challenges were entered. And you'll also be able to see the tracking number and status for each challenge that is associated with the job filing. Now, again, in the challenge results, no information is going to be shown until DOB issues a response to all of the challenges. But when the response is issued, you will see the challenge status, the challenge result document, and the challenge result date. So let me show you in the system what it looks like when you are searching for and submitting a challenge. So I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to click on building on my block. Now, I can search by address, by bin, by community board, or by job number. And then within that, this section is required. I can choose specific types of jobs. So for example, I could only look at jobs that are open to challenge. I could also select specific job filing types. So I'm going to enter in a number, an address. I know that there's a building there that is being constructed, and I want to issue a challenge. I could even specify I want job filings that are open to challenge. I click search, and I get the results. I see, yes, there is one job filing here, and it is in fact open to challenge. So I'm going to click on the down arrow, and it tells me how many days are left to challenge. The challenge period lasts 45 days from the day that the ZD1 document, which you'll see here, the ZD1 zoning diagram, is accepted by DOB. So if I want to issue a challenge, I want to submit a challenge to this particular ZD1. I can see the ZD1 by clicking on it here. But I'm going to click plus challenge, and we get the challenge request. So I could enter my last name, the rest of my name. If there's an affiliated organization, I can enter my email. I can even enter a phone contact number. All of that is optional. It's not required. Then under the description of the challenge, there's 2 sections. I need to indicate the relevant zoning resolution section. And I need to describe the challenge in detail. Now, one of the things to note is that there's 2,000 characters allowed in this box. If you need more than that, you can always upload a document. So I'm going to give my challenge details. And then if I want, I can upload a document by saying, giving it a name. I click on the upload button here to find my document. And then I click upload. It'll take a moment to upload that. Tell me it's been uploaded. And now I can submit my challenge. Again, it'll take just a second to process. And once it does, it'll tell me the challenge has been submitted. But if I go to the challenge tab, I'm still not going to see anything because the challenges are not visible until the challenge results have been issued. Now let me go back to my PowerPoint. Here we go. Now, if the challenge is denied, an appeal can be filed. In fact, an appeal can be filed under two different circumstances. One is if the zoning challenge can be denied, or the second is if the Borough Commissioner has chosen to allow zoning appeals regarding an audit response to an approved zoning challenge. Either way, the appeal button shows up on the Challenge Results tab. And the Appeals and Appeal Results tabs are similar to the Challenge and Challenge Results tabs. Data there will not display before a decision is made after the appeals period has ended. The appeals period is 15 days. The submitted appeals will all be displayed within the Appeals tab after the decision has been made, and the appeal results can be viewed within the Appeal Results tab. So it's pretty much the same as the Challenge and the Challenge Results tab, just for appeals. So before we get into statuses, I want to show this to you. So we know that that building that we just looked at was open to challenges, but we're going to look for a building that's open to appeals. So again, we're going to put in an address. And I can choose challenge denied, open to appeal as the type of job I'm looking for. Now, if we look at this job at 26 Warren Street, we'll see that the challenge was denied and it is open for appeal. So if I go in to the job filing details, again, I can see the ZV1. But if I go to the challenge tab, I can see the challenges that were issued and the details of those challenges. And in the challenge results tab, there is a response document. There will be a response document published for any time a challenge or an appeal is reviewed by DOB. Now, this also tells me the challenge status was denied. And if I want to appeal, I can go over here and I see that I've got 2 days left to appeal. And I click the plus appeal button to do so. Again, I can enter my personal information, although it is not required. I must enter the zoning resolution and the appeal details. I can upload supporting documents, although that is not required. And then I click submit. Now, says the appeal has been submitted for review. Like we saw before, there's nothing going to show up in the appeals or the appeal results until the appeal period has closed 2 days from now, and DOB has issued a response. DOB will begin looking at the response after the period has closed, but we'll begin looking at the challenges or appeals after the period has closed. It may take a little while for the appeal results or the challenge results to be published. Now, you will see statuses within the public portal for zoning challenges and appeals, and there's 3 different types of statuses. The overall zoning challenge or appeal status includes things like whether a job filing is open to challenge or appeal, whether there's a pending decision, challenge denied, open to appeal, whether it was accepted, and whether or not there's an intent to revoke. There's even a revoked. Now, each individual challenge or appeal will only have 2 statuses. The first is that the challenge or appeal was submitted, and the second is that the review is complete. The individual challenges or appeals will not have any other status. The result of the challenges or appeals will show up in the zoning challenge/appeal status. And then, of course, there's the job filing status. And this will show up in the portal as well. And the ones that I specifically wanted to note here are the ones that have to do when a challenge or appeal is accepted and what the different options are. So the different options if a challenge or appeal is accepted is that there may be an intent to revoke full stop work order, intent to revoke partial stop work order, intent to revoke, or revoked. Now, if a member of the public has submitted a challenge and maybe also submitted an appeal and they're still not satisfied, they actually can go a little bit further beyond DOB now. Subsequent appeals after the initial appeal has been responded to by DOB may be made to the Board of Standards and Appeals. Now, let's move to the internal, the industry portal, where you actually have to sign in. And you're going to see, and you may already have seen, that things are going to look a tiny bit different within the job filing. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the ZD1. I mentioned that some job filings require it, so let's talk about which job filings those are. General construction job filings for new building, alteration, whether it's an alt CO or an alt, but alteration with enlargement, both those types are required to upload the ZD1 document. So specifically, that's for new buildings, it's going to be initial job filings for new building general construction filings, initial job filings for alt CO enlargement general construction filings, or the initial or the subsequent alt enlargement job filing. Now, for the alt enlargement, it's whichever job filing, whether it's initial or subsequent, that first has general construction as a work type. So if we look here, the job type, new building, the filing type will be the initial, and the work type is always general construction. That is required in the initial filing. Same thing for alt CO with enlargement. It's the initial filing and general construction is required. But for alt with enlargement, it can be initial or subsequent whenever the general construction job filing is filed. Excuse me, the general construction work type is filed. Now, all ZD1s are going to undergo a technical review from one of the DOB's various review teams. For standard plan review job filings, the ZD1 is going to be reviewed by the Chief Plan Examiner or Assistant Chief Plan Examiner, that's the CPE or ACPE, and a Plan Examiner or PE. For professional certification job filings, they're reviewed first by the Professional Certification Supervisor and Administrator, and then by the Zoning CPE, ACPE, and the Zoning PE. Now, we've made some really minor changes to the zoning document section, but I want to explain the purpose of them. Apart from the latest version of the accepted ZD1, you now can see older versions of the ZD1 visible on the job filing, and it'll show up under ZD1 history. We're now tracking the ZD1 review and approval distinctly by itself. There will also be a consolidated view of all challenges, appeals, and related results for a given job filing. And this ZD1 challenge and appeal timeline is transparent and tracked automatically. We saw that when it told us how many days were remaining in the appeal period and in the challenge period. So in the document section, you're going to notice that there is a new section. We already had additional supporting documents and required documents, but there's a new zoning document section. And this was introduced for job filings that were submitted on or after November 7th. Clicking on the zoning document section opens 3 panes that represent 3 stages in the ZD1 life cycle. The ZD1 required / review in progress is where you submit a ZD1. ZD1 document accepted will show the most recently accepted ZD1. And the ZD1 document history shows, guess what? The history of the ZD1 documents. So the ZD1 required or review in progress section, as I said, is where users upload the required ZD1 document and where they can view it after submission or while it's being reviewed by DOB. Now, one of the things that you are now going to be able to do is to withdraw an uploaded ZD1 before it is submitted. You used to be able to replace it, but now you can actually withdraw it. However, and this is important to know, the withdrawn ZD1 will appear in the ZD1 document's history. There will be a maximum of one ZD1 in the ZD1 required/review in progress section. If the ZD1 is already reviewed and accepted, approved by DOB, this section is going to be blank and you will see it in the ZD1 document accepted section. Again, there's only going to be one ZD1 document in the accepted section at any time. Now, if for whatever reason you need to update the ZD1 after it has been accepted, you can click the Upload button in the ZD1 document accepted section to upload a new ZD1 document. And the newly uploaded document will be displayed in the ZD1 required/review in progress section. The ZD1 document's history section will display any previously accepted or deleted by the user, withdrawn, versions of the ZD1. Now, the review process for standard plan exam filings and for professional certification job filings is not changing. You'll see that it's just the same as you've seen before. So let me talk very quickly about some of the rules. The 45-day challenge period, which we talked about before, begins when the ZD1 is accepted by DOB. Now, it's important to note the ZD1 can be accepted by DOB before the job filing is approved. Users may submit a new version of the ZD1, such as in response to an objection. When the new version of the ZD1 is approved, the old version will still be visible on both the public portal and the industry portal in the ZD1 documents history. In addition, a new 45-day challenge period will begin when the new version of the ZD1 is approved. The public is only going to be able to submit zoning challenges against the most recently approved ZD1. Any previously filed zoning challenges on prior accepted ZD1s will still be reviewed by DOB and will be visible after review. However, new challenges or appeals against the older version cannot be submitted. Once the job filing is accepted, all of the zoning challenges filed against the job filing will be held for review until the last 45-day period is over. DOB will review all of the challenges and appeals submitted against all versions of the ZD1 and publish a single challenge result or appeal result. If the zoning challenge is accepted, the job filing will be put into intent to revoke status. This will pause any existing actions being taken on the job filing, such as permit requests. The applicant of record will be notified of the changes required to the job filings by objections that will be visible on that job filing. The objections will also be sent via an email notification. The applicant of record will then need to file an audit response by initiating it from the actions dropdown of the respective job filing. So now I'm going to pause and hand this over to my colleague Anthony, and he's going to talk about the audit response.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Thank you, Martha. Okay, so I'm going to be picking things up from where Martha just left off. So we're going to be taking a look at the audit response, how we submit a new ZD1, how we can view zoning challenges and objections, and how we could respond to zoning challenges and objections. So I'll be walking through some slides, and then I'll be taking you into the system and we can actually see how this is done. Okay, so zoning challenge audit response reminders. If a zoning challenge is accepted, all stakeholders associated to the job filing will receive an email notification informing them of any job filing status change and of objections raised as a result of the accepted challenge/appeal. The applicant has up to 15 calendar days to submit an audit response with an updated ZD1, and a resolution of all objections. During this 15-day period, all actions in progress related to the job filing, such as permit requests, will be put on hold. Okay, if the audit response is not submitted within 15 days of when the job filing is set to intent to revoke, then the DOB will take the appropriate enforcement actions such as revoking the approval or permits. During the review of the audit response, the job filing will remain on hold. The intent to revoke disposition will not be removed until after the audit response has been approved. And for audit responses, the filing number will have an AR suffix for audit response appended to them. So in order to initiate the audit response, we can see that these job filings right here have been set to intent to revoke, challenge accepted. Now we're going to want to initiate an audit response to that. So we would head over here to our action menu, just click on it. The drop-down menu will appear with several menu choices, and we would choose, you guessed it, initiate an audit response. We'll have to confirm that we do indeed want to proceed with this course of action. And once we get inside, we'll be able to go to the plans work audit response page. And what we'll have to do to continue the process is we're going to have to click save. Once we do that, then the status bar gets displayed. The job filing updates to include the AR, and you can see that over here, AR01, and the filing number gets modified with the AR appended to it. Now from the tabs, we'll select the Zoning Challenge Appeals tab. The page will refresh and show us the Zoning Challenge Appeals details. And then the Zoning Challenges and Zoning Appeals sections will display all the submitted challenges, appeals, and the corresponding responses. So once again, I'm going to take you in the system in just a second. Just want to let you guys see what it looks like first. So the response document can be viewed from the challenge results or appeal results tab. The document will explain why DOB chose to accept the challenge or appeal. Okay. And then over here, we could see that the zoning objection section will explain what needs to be changed in the job filing based on the response to the challenge or appeal. So we'll click that down arrow to see all the details. Like I said, I'm going to take you in there now and show you that. So in order to upload a new ZD1 document, we need to make the required changes, and we're going to be doing that. We'll click on the Incomplete Objections and Appointments tab that will appear after we save the job filing, after we initiate the intent to revoke audit response. Okay, so we'll be able to see this section will show up after that. And then we'd be able to see all the information about it. We could change the objection status to open, and then we would head up here and click update. And then we can also see a record of some of the other, zoning objection statuses from the past, if there are any. Okay. The cost to file an audit response is $100. The fee must be paid before the audit response is submitted. If the initial job filing was fee exempt, no fee is required for the audit response. Once the fee is paid, applicants can click to preview a file in order to submit the changes to the DOB. So I'm going to jump into the live system now. And I want to show you guys, I have these two filings set up so that we can do the initiate audit response. Over here, you can see here's one that's already going, and we can see how the job filing has that AR01 appended to it. So let me come up here, and we'll take this guy, and we'll go ahead and initiate an audit response. Here's the confirmation window. Let's go ahead and confirm that we want to create an audit response, and we're going to click next. Now, notice we don't see that section over here yet, that one with the documents that I was telling you about. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And here we go. All right, the job filing has been saved. So we can see over here, there's that timeline that we saw on the PowerPoint slide just a minute ago. And we've begun the initiation process. We've begun the initiation, and we could over here now see that we have this incomplete objections and appointments. Okay. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to come over here and go to the zoning challenges appeals section. And these are the three that we saw on the slide. We got our challenges over here. Now we could see here's our challenges. And right now we're not going to see anything under challenge results other than it was accepted. And here's the response document. But pretty much all three of these sections are going to have the information, zoning appeal information, and the appeal results tab. And likewise down here. Now here's our zoning objection. Now I'm going to unfurl this guy, pop it open, and we could see the information about the zoning objection. Okay, everything is right here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to head down to the initiate objections and appointments and take a look at the initiate objections and appointments tab. And again, we can open this guy up over here. And this is where we'll see the ability to change our status from open to resolved. And then I could come over here and put in some information. I'm just going to put in something simple. The fence is too high. Okay. But let's actually spell it the right way. All right, we'll just fix that over here. Excuse my fat fingers today, everybody. And then we could come up here and hit update. Now this will be updated. And again, if we open it up, we could see everything over here. Here's the objection history. Unfortunately, we don't have one for this guy because we just started the audit response. But if there was indeed a history, we would be able to see all those over here. All right, now let's take a look at replacing the ZD1 document because we're going to have to do that as well. So I'm going to head over here to my documents tab. And then over here are my zoning documents. Now here's the previously uploaded ZD1. So I'm going to come over here, click my upload button. I'm going to go navigate to the location of my document that I want to use. I just have these random documents here that I like to use for demo. So I'm just going to click open to that. Hit the upload button. Let's wait for cancel to turn into okay. And then there we go. It's that simple to upload it. Now, again, if we want to keep track of our incomplete objections and appointments, we could come over here. This is where we do the update. Zoning challenge appeals is where we can review everything that's going on. And then once again, over here under documents, this is where we can upload the new ZD1. You can see I can't really do any of that stuff right now because this would need to go through the whole process that Martha described earlier. So the only other thing that we'd want to make sure is that our statements and signatures are all there and checked off. I think we got everything checked off down here. Just one more time. And then we'd be on our way. We click save. And there we go. We just initiated the audit response. We replaced the ZD1 and we reviewed the tabs. So I'm going to just jump back out to the PowerPoint and to get back to full screen. We just talked about before I went in and did the demo. Again, there is an audit response of $100 that has to be paid before the audit response can be submitted. But some additional information for the audit responses. Audit responses are reviewed by the zoning audit response team. The review process is similar to any other standard plan job filing review. The plan examiner may raise objections to the audit response and either require or allow appointments to discuss the objections. The borough commissioner, deputy borough commissioner will conduct the final review of the decision on the audit response. At this point, at this point, they will withdraw the intent to revoke status and decide whether to open a new 45-day challenge period, a 15-day appeal period, or they can deny both of them. Now, here's the workflow for the job filing process that has no challenges or appeals. As you can see, it's a very simple process. First, the applicant of record would submit the job filing. The next step would be the DOB would approve it. The applicant of record will request a permit, and the DOB will issue that permit. Now, this is the job filing process with the challenge process. So first off, the job filing is submitted by our applicant of record. The DOB will then accept the ZD1 document. Now, John Q. Public may come along and file a zoning challenge. If that is the case, the DOB will take a look at this the job filing and approve it. The DOB will also challenge is accepted, will issue the challenge is accepted. And then the DOB may even have an intent to revoke over here. Now, if they do, the applicant of record would have to submit an audit response. The DOB will then approve or rescind or intend to revoke that. And then lastly, the applicant of record can continue on with the permit process. And then our last one over here is this is with the appeal process. This is the job filing with the appeal process. So our applicant of record, once again, will submit a job filing. The DOB will then accept the ZD1. John Q. Public is going to file a zoning challenge. DOB will accept the job filing. DOB will then reject the challenge. John Q. Public can then file an appeal. The DOB will then approve that appeal, move it on again, and the DOB may choose intent to revoke. And then the applicant of record will file an audit response. The DOB will then approve the audit response, and then the applicant of record will continue with the permit process. And that leads us to the end of the presentation here. So thank you for your time and attention, everybody. If you'd like to ask questions, let's open up the floor for questions.